organization which defends democracy by empowering voters. Democracy works best when we have engaged and informed citizens and caring and accountable leaders. This forum tonight contributes to both of those. And now some ground rules. Candidates, your role. Present your qualifications and platform to the community. Focus on yourself, your concerns, and your ideas to serve constituents. Discussions should pertain to the office you are seeking. Policy differences may be discussed, but should be framed as I statements. The moderator has complete discretion to redirect or end candidate remarks. Audience, your role. Focus your questions on community issues or topics that pertain directly to the office or issues. Listen to each candidate's responses. Refrain from commenting during candidate presentations. Kindly hold applause until the end of each issue or race. And the League of Women Voters, again, has complete discretion to address any disruptive behavior. Questions. Questions are submitted by the public in writing online ahead of this forum or by note card this evening up until the start of each race. We do have question runners here if you need to turn one in. Do not hold your questions. Get them in as soon as you can. Questions are reviewed by our trained panel to ensure clarity and lack of personal bias. Then they're organized and provided to the moderator. Please understand that due to either time constraints or criteria not being met, we may not get to all the questions. So format. Groups of candidates for each race or issue spokespeople will take their places when invited by the moderator. Candidates will each be given 3 minutes to share their platform or their information with the audience from the podium. Following this, candidates will participate in a question and 1-minute answer period based on submitted questions. Spokespeople for the ballot issues will be given 90 seconds or 1.5 minutes to present their information. We have an empty chair policy that's different. Our local races are subject to our local empty chair policy. Therefore, all contested races will be presented as long as at least one candidate is here. A reminder, we do not distinguish between incumbents and challengers, and we do not permit proxies or stand-ins. After the forum, if you didn't get a question answered that you would like to have answered, you can talk to your candidate in the adjacent lobby area, or you can pick up campaign materials from them there. Also, we have more information on Vote 411 and in the Vote Print Voter Guide. And so now, let's begin with our moderator for this evening, Melanie Campbell.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here with you today in this packed house. I don't know if you saw, we're pulling up extra chairs. We have really great representation from the candidates and from the audience. So tonight's schedule, we have the Geauga Park District Levy, the Geauga County Job and Family Services Levy, the West Geauga Local School District Levy. Then we will present the candidates for the West Geauga Local School Board race. We will present the candidates for the Newberry Township Trustees. The Russell Township Police and EMS Levy will present. Then the Russell Township Trustee race and the Chester Township Trustees. So, the first issue that's on the ballot is the Geauga County Park District issue. It's a tax levy for 1.2 mils. It's for preserving and protecting land. It collects $3,384,359 annually. which amounts to $23 for each $100,000. It's a 20-year levy beginning in 2026, first due in 2027, with a renewal of 0.7 and an increase of 0.5 mils. I don't believe there's anyone here from the Park District, is there? Next is the Geauga County Job and Family Services Tax Levy. It's a 0.7 mil renewal for children's services. It collects $2,346,000 annually, amounting to $15 for each $100,000. It's a 5-year levy beginning in 2026, first due in 2027. Is Ms. Schultz or Mr. Swenson here? Next is the West G Local School District Substitute Multiple Existing Levies. The initial sum of $6,050,000 with a final rate of 4.82 mils. Continuing period of time commencing 2025, first due in 2026. And I believe Ms. Pavlet is here to speak on behalf of the levy.
For having us. I was hoping someone would go first so I know what we were doing, but we'll open it up. We'll put the mic up today. Again, thank you to the voters for having us talk about the levy. As an employee of the district, I'm here to give you the facts. This is my only role that I can do. I can't persuade anybody, so this is what we're going to go and talk about. So the West Geauga Board of Education voted to place a substitute levy on the ballot for the November 4th election. The proposed levy will combine 2 existing emergency levies into one single measure in an effort to make the school funding simpler and more efficient. What is a substitute levy? Under Ohio Revised Code, the substitute levy replaces one or more existing emergency levies at the same combined rate previously approved by the voters. If approved, the levy will continue to fund local school fund operations at the current level while allowing growth from new construction in the district. The district obtains approximately 70% of its total funding from local property taxes. The 2 emergency levies that would be considered as a substitute levy represent 16% of our total revenue. Over the last 20 plus years, the community has voted to approve and renew these 2 emergency levies to fund school operations. The first levy of $3.7 million was originally passed in 2003 and has been renewed 3 times. The second, 2.35, was also passed in 2005 and renewed 3 times as well. If approved, like I said, this would continue to collect the same amount as what the 2 emergency levies would be.
You have some questions?
I'll have to see if I can answer.
Yes. So, as school employee, Ms. Pavlet's only able to answer facts-based questions, and so for each, our fact-based will come up. The first is, what specific projects will not be completed if the levy fails to pass?
These levies represent operational funds, so they're not related to capital funds. These are currently used to pay for salaries and benefits of our teachers and our staff.
Okay, the next question was, why was the November election selected for this levy?
We have a number of opportunities to renew emergency levies. The November election was put in place because we do have some property tax reforms that if the levy was not renewed and there would be property tax reforms would be passed, the potential would be lost for the 12.5% rollback provisions that we have currently embedded with the emergency levies that we have in place now. So if we were to, now that the Senate and the House have overridden the veto that we have associated with the emergency levies, the 12.5%, if we don't renew those substitute levies, they could possibly be lost and continuing, therefore that 12.5% would not be paid and reimbursed to the district by the state.
If there is a reported 25 million in school accounts, why is the school board seeking the substitute levy?
I don't believe that's the case.
I would like to welcome up to the front table the candidates for the West Geauga Local School District Board of Education race. You are choosing two of three candidates, Ellen Naylor, Christina Sherwood, and Mark Vidmar. Ms. Naylor, we'll start with you in your opening remarks. And to all the candidates, Marla is our timer. She's right here, but I'll have you stand.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting and putting everything on for this candidate forum. It's a wonderful way to meet the public. And I'd also like to thank all of you who care so much about your community that you're here tonight to hear from us. I'm Ellen Naylor, and I'm running for West Geauga School Board. I've lived in Russell for almost 20 years. I have 5 grown children, they're all adults. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Physical Therapy and a Master's in Education and Curriculum Design with specialization in English as a second language. I currently work for a local home care agency, and I'm a night and evening resident assistant at a maternity home. I have a heart for teaching and for serving, and I volunteered as a teacher, tutor, and facilitator at many programs both locally and in the city of Cleveland. I've worked with both children and adults. I've created curriculum to teach English as a second language, as well as United States citizenship. As a facilitator of diverse groups, I have developed skills in leading discussions, listening well, and helping others to make responsible decisions. I love our community, and 2 of the foundations of our community are families and schools. This is where the nurture and the growth and the education of the future citizens of our community happens. If families are strong and public education is excellent, then our community will be cohesive and vibrant, and the students that we're graduating from here will be engaged and invested in our community. It is important that students are safe in schools and that there are excellent educational opportunities for every student. It is also important for parents and all taxpayers to have a voice in this essential function of the community. A meaningful role of the school board is to ensure that the district reflects the community's values and serves as a bridge from the public and to the schools. I'm a lifelong learner, and I've always valued education. I feel that I have the qualifications and the determination to strengthen the connection between the community and the schools through improved communication, complete transparency, and open deliberation. I hope you have the opportunity this evening to get to know some more about me, and if my values and my ideas reflect your values and ideas, then I would ask for your vote on November 4th. Remember, November 4th, elect Ellen. Thank you.
Ms. Sherwood.
Hi. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. Without events like this, voters are lost really to alongside social media posts and backpage newspaper ads. This forum really provides an opportunity for actual discussions with the candidates themselves, and anyone who really knows me knows how much I value open conversation. Many of you know that I grew up here. My siblings and I were involved in the community and the schools in many different ways. My brothers played baseball, my sister was involved in 4-H, and I ran track and worked with the Chesterland McDonald's all the way through high school. My husband and I moved our family to Chester Township so that our daughters could attend West G schools and benefit from the education and experiences here like I did. All 4 of our girls were active in school and in the community.
Our kids, like yours, benefited from both the academic and life skills that the schools taught them. I graduated from West Geauga High School in 1992. I graduated college while raising 4 little girls. I got my first teaching job at West G in 2012. In fact, my classroom was in the late great Mr. Max's history classroom. Earned a master's degree from Tiffin University, became an instructor for Lakeland Community College, earned my administrator's license from Youngstown State University in 2024, and got my first administrative job in Chardon that same year. 4 years ago, I ran for my seat on the board because I felt that the board was not as responsive as it should be. And instead of complaining about it from my living room, I circulated petitions and decided I could do something about that. It wasn't about convenience, it was about action and doing something that could have a positive impact on our schools and our community. I'm very proud of the work this board has done over the last 4 years. When I was elected, we had only 1 police officer district-wide. Now we have a full-time officer in every building. Furthermore, when I became board president 2 years ago, my first order of business was to add a section on the meeting agendas to respond to public comments or emails that we got over the last month. I have never shied away from hard conversations. I've taken every phone call, returned my emails, and held impromptu gatherings because the community needed to talk and I needed to make sure that they were heard and responded to. Finally, I'm very proud to have been part of a team that has been able to create a culture of success. We've accomplished this through strategic operations and decisive staffing. The success of our students speaks not just to their own commitment to their achievements, but to the commitment of the staff who are led by a central office team who have worked together for over a decade. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak with you all tonight and respectfully request your continued support as I seek re-election to the school board. You can rest assured that I always do what is best for our students. Let's ensure the legacy we leave behind is one of strong schools and bright futures so that our children and grandchildren have every opportunity to thrive in the community we've worked so hard to build. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sherwood. Mr. Vidmar. And I would like to ask all the candidates if you could speak closely to the microphone because the HVAC system is making it hard.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Vidmar. I'd like to start off by thanking the League of Women Voters for putting this event together tonight. A bit about me professionally. My background is in finance, operations, and consulting. I help organizations solve problems, operate efficiently, and stay accountable. Skills that I believe matter to running a school district. I also serve as assistant treasurer for the West Geauga Recreation Council. I serve as a trustee for the West Geauga Joint Recreation District, you may know it as the Commons on the road. In both professional and volunteer roles, I've worked with others to manage budgets, maintain facilities, and drive organizational improvement. On the home front, my wife Ann and I have chosen to live in Chesterland with our 3 kids, Claire in 10th grade, Jack in 8th, and Adam on the football field in 6th. Like many of you, our lives revolve around this community. Friday night games, school concerts, and hanging out with our friends and family. We love it here. We are West G. I've seen, if you've seen my campaign materials, you've seen that phrase all over the place. We are West G. And I love it, because it means something a little different to everyone. It means something for the young families who are starting out, to the newly empty nesters, to the folks that remember how great the world was before the internet. When we say we are West G, it means exactly what it sounds like. We care deeply about our schools, about our neighbors, and about our future. I'm running for school board because I believe we can strengthen trust between the community and their district. We need transparency, so parents and taxpayers alike can clearly understand how decisions are made and where the money goes. We need fiscal responsibility, not just building up reserves, but using our resources to care for the facilities we already have. And we need full spectrum education. Not just managing to the test, but academic excellence, arts, athletics, real world skills. Our kids aren't just numbers. They're our next generation. They're future West Street families. They're business owners. They're future community leaders. When it comes to finances, my philosophy is simple. Spend every dollar needed, not one single penny over. Every project or every dollar should have a purpose. Every project should have a plan. And every decision should reflect and respect the taxpayers and funders. Because we're charged with the most important mission, educating our children. West G stands for community. Stands for, it's a place where hard work matters, where tradition still means something, and that's the West G right now. Thank you.
Just so the audience knows, we've received more questions for every race and every issue that we're going to be able to ask. So they've done a really great job to put forward some of the most common and popular questions. And I'm going to start with you, Ms. Naylor, for our first one. Do you support issue 16, the West Geauga substitute levy? Why or why not? And you're able to take this from your seat. I would just ask you to put the microphone close to you.
Hello.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. Yes, a little bit of technical difficulty. Sorry about that. Do you support issue 16, the West Geauga substitute levy? Why or why not?
Well, the ultimate answer is decided by the taxpayers. So the school board does their best in predicting the future. This particular issue has, there were legislative things that were involved, and there was a governor's veto and then an override veto, which made it kind of complicated. I believe that the school board was trying to simplify and get the issue on the ballot for November, so that it could be happen before the new legislation came about. So I think that they did their best job for the public to try to get that combined.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Ms. Sherwood, do you support issue 16, the West Geauga substitute levy? Why or why not?
So this is tricky for me because I'm currently sitting on the board, and so there are certain parameters. So I will speak from my own position as a taxpayer and mom of 4 graduates. I do support issue 16. It's important for our schools to maintain the level of funding that we have and to ensure that our community gets that rollback as well. If this doesn't pass now, then we lose the opportunity to include the rollback in any future levies that would need to be placed on the ballot to replace the money that is ultimately going to be expiring, one in 2026 and one in 2029. So yes.
Thank you, Ms. Sherwood. Mr. Vidmar.
Thank you. I so badly wanted to, and I had a feeling this question was going to come. I so badly wanted to sit up here and say, Karen doesn't know what she's talking about, and we don't need this levy, and it's just stealing from the taxpayers. I spent an inordinate amount of time digging into the financials of West Geauga through information requests and looking at publicly available information. I have never voted for a tax levy in my life. I would be voting yes for this tax levy. I'll tell you why. Because I believe that to meet the needs of the school, we have to fund it. We can choose to say no, and then be short of resources to take care of our kids. But I say this the next one. We need to be incredibly vigilant. There is money in that budget. I am certain of it. And I think as a board, our responsibility is to go and find that money and ultimately return to the taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Vidmar. Our next question, and I'm going to start with you, Ms. Sherwood. What is your opinion on the state voucher program?
I am not against vouchers in their original form many, many years ago. It gave children in poor performing districts an opportunity to get a quality education from somewhere other than where they lived. The current system has been bloated and has expanded so that pretty much anybody can get a voucher for any reason, regardless of the quality of schools in their neighborhoods. And I believe that that is taking public money and funneling into private schools, and that is not the way that our public money is supposed to be spent. And it's damaging the fabrics of our public schools.
Thank you, Ms. Sherwood. Mr. Vidmar, what is your opinion of the state voucher program?
I support parents' choice to send their kids wherever. But we have a duty as taxpayers to take care of to educate the masses. Our job as residents in the school district is to make sure that they have the resources to do so. And by, while it doesn't take dollar for dollar, while it doesn't take dollar for dollar today out of our individual local budget, it does take away from some of that. So what I would expect is that when we're talking about a voucher program, as long as we're not personally impacted or as a district to meet our charge to take care of and educate the children in our district, that I'm fine with continuing. I have no issue with that at all. But at the point where it affects our district finances,
Thank you, Mr. Vidmar. Ms. Naylor.
I think the voucher question constantly comes up for as long as I can remember, even as a young person. And it's made to give opportunity to students that otherwise don't have that opportunity. So I think it's always a difficult question to try to balance our, keeping our resources in our community. Everybody here lives in the community and wishes to be here, and a lot of people moved here so their kids can be in here. So I just think that it's something that needs to be balanced and done in a fair manner, but I do believe in the opportunity for parents wherever they are to choose where their kids go to school.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Mr. Vidmar, I'm going to start with you on this next question. What additional consequences would you like to see implemented with respect to bullying? Do you think the district does enough currently?
frankly, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. Bullies are bad, right? This is, I think the schools have done a good job addressing bullying in general. I think as I'm looking at my children in the audience, I recall at one point saying, "Are you bullying your brother?" And I remember seeing the, "Oh no, I don't think you're bullied," reaction from them. That tells me that something's working, right? We in our house, we don't raise people to be bullies, and we don't, certainly advocate for that. But that messaging has been clear. I have no tolerance for bullying. I think it's obviously a bad thing, and we want to support an inclusive and supportive culture of our students. And kind of sticking in the guise of we're all Westview. We're one school. We stick together and we get things done together.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor.
I think it's kind of the bullying question is very general, because I think also all of us have been in school and been young people, and there's sometimes when people just aren't nice, and that's not really bullying. So sometimes it's a hard determination to make, but certainly if there's someone who's repetitively in multiple times doing that kind of thing, it's something that has to be handled in the school. I once read through a curriculum by Frank Peretti, and he was bullied very seriously when he was a child because of a facial deformation that he had. And it's a program that's fantastic for kids to go through that talks about being the other students who don't allow bullying to happen. So there needs to be discipline in the school if it's true bullying, but we need to, as a community, have our kids trained and empowered so that they can stick up for people.
Ms. Sherwood.
This is a really personal issue for any parent, right? We have our children and we want to protect them and see them happy and safe in school. And when your child comes home and they're upset, that makes it really difficult to address the situation without wanting to know everything, right? And this is one of those things where as parents, if my child was the victim of bullying, I don't get to know what happened to the students that were accused of bullying them in the school. So to say, well, I know the school because I went here, they've always been very good about teaching kindness and compassion to each other. It's one of those issues where, yes, they're doing everything that they can without giving up information that we don't have an educational right to know from the other party, so.
Okay, and final question, and Ms. Naylor, I'm gonna start with you. We're sitting here tonight on the floor of a gymnasium in desperate need of renovation because our school system has no auditorium. The elementary schools have no AC. Our schools need renovations, yet the levy was tabled last year. What will you do to educate the community on the needs of our schools and the importance of funding capital projects?
Well, I think one of the things that's great is for people to attend school board meetings, but the school board also has some latitude to run other meetings that aren't business meetings, and I think there just seems to be confusion in the community, that people aren't, just like this question said, aren't understanding how things are getting spent and how things are going to be fixed. So I think we have to not only get the best of everything, but the best for our money in each of the decisions. And I also think that that it would be great to have a community meeting that would kind of make clear the order of things that needed to be improved and exactly what the levy and other things how it would impact that.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Ms. Sherwood.
So we did have those meetings. We had a year and a half worth of master facilities planning committee meetings and met with dozens of people from the community about what they felt were the most serious needs from top to bottom. The bond that I think that you're referencing wasn't a levy, it was a bond levy, was tabled because although many people agree that we need to do something with our facilities, it just wasn't the right time. We went through a serious revaluation of our properties, and that put a lot of people in a position that made their finances very difficult to kind of develop a strategy to handle. We need to find more creative ways to fund our schools' renovations and builds as well. Yes, we'll need money from the community at some point too, but we can start looking into federal and state grants, and we can start looking for ways to leverage our community members and the unique gifts they have to share with our community.
Thank you. Mr. Bittmer.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm glad to answer this question because I think that's one of the issues we have in our district today is we have a bunch of deferred payments around our facilities. We're sitting on roughly, let's call it $18 million on our capital account that's unencumbered. We need to put that to work. We need projects that are well defined. We need multiple bids, someone sniffing it out. Does this make sense? Does this seem expensive? And then we need to execute on those projects. One of the things that I would ask for, in my first board meeting, should I get elected, would be for that schedule. What's on the list? What are we doing? How quickly is it going to happen? Who's working on it? And I want to see that money spent wisely. I don't want to get middle. I want to offer it to a contractor that's going to sub it out to the next contractor, and sub it out to the next contractor. We can get this stuff done. We can make this happen. And make this school great.
Thank you very much. Voters, you'll be choosing 2 of the 3 candidates here today, Ms. Naylor, Ms. Sherwood, and Mr. Bigmar. So thank you very much for being here today and answering questions. I'd like to invite up the candidates for the Newberry Township trustee race. Steve Bonner, Carly Sayer, William Scomrock Jr., and Greg Trook. Mr. Bonner, we're going to start with you.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for their time and effort in planning and producing this poll. To introduce myself, I am Steve Bonner. My wife Jerry and I grew up in Newberry. We're graduates of Newberry School and have lived in the township our entire lives. I graduated Lakeland College with an Associate's of Science in Civil Engineering, Construction Management. I am currently chair of the Newberry Zoning Commission and have served for 10 years, over 10 years. A clear and detailed plan and swift execution are key to accomplishing any goal. My experience serving on the zoning commission, I realize that Newberry's growth must be planned and detailed and supported by the people of Newberry. Serving as trustee, my vision is to develop a plan that will take us into the future with knowledge of all aspects of what we want to achieve and preparedness for what hurdles we may encounter while pursuing that goal. Implementing my growth plan, Newberry Outlook 2040. As trustee, I will form a citizens committee who will investigate and consider the zoning growth concerns of Newberry residents. Using a collaborative initiative of surveys and personal interaction, Newberry Outlook 2040, led by trustees and participating residents, will seek to find the best path forward that will allow ordered growth and respect the expectations to preserve the well-being of Newberry. The best way to predict Newberry's future is to plan and create Newberry's future. As stewards of our township, we must consider all aspects of possible growth. Working with the citizens of Newberry, I will work to achieve an ordered township expansion which will benefit all residents. While Newberry grows in residences and population, consideration must be given to less obvious effects of growth, such as traffic control, surface water runoff, well water, septic contamination, and density control. All can be mastered if the plan is considered now. My vision is that zoning resolution changes will be considered using a clearly detailed plan. Using Newberry Outlook 2040, plans with residents' concerns addressed, and a clear vision of how these changes will affect the future of Newberry, our township can grow while remaining a unique, vibrant, and independent community. I will work to achieve a balanced township budget, continue providing and improving necessary services, stop unnecessary spending, and work towards a better future for Newberry. With that, I ask that you vote Steve Bonner, Newberry Township Trustee for Vision and Growth.
Everyone hear me okay? I usually don't have a problem pretty well. So, good evening. How's everyone doing? I feel like we need to do a jumping jack to wake everyone. But thank you to all the League of Women Voters for their hard work to provide this testimony tonight. I think democracy is very important. I appreciate everyone being here. And we need to be educated. But I'm Carly Sayer, a Newberry resident here at graduate of Newberry High School. I have a bachelor's degree from Slippery Rock University. I pride myself in where I came from as I poured my blood, sweat, and tears on Newberry softball fields, on the courts playing basketball and volleyball, and in the classroom, where I feel I was given an amazing education to get me where I am today. I am very excited and proud to have the ability to serve in the same community I was raised in. Professionally, I bring over 15 years of business development, contract negotiation, program management, and budgeting. I specifically have been awarded packages with General Motors, Ford, Tesla, Honda, among many other companies, totaling well over $250 million. I have also worked as a program manager to ensure timeliness and budgets were met. I believe with this experience I can bring new opportunities for the community of Newberry ensure our budget goals are not only achieved, but potential savings for taxpayers would be possible, as well as formally execute the next land use and zoning resolution plans. Why I'm running? So our website is outdated, our zoning resolutions are outdated, our land use plan is outdated by 15 years. We have stagnant growth, residents continue to go unheard. I don't want to drive through town anymore, I want a destination. I want people to be excited and passionate about being a part of the future for Newberry. I want the residents to decide what the next phase of Newberry will look like. So what I can bring to the table, with my tenacity, I will work tirelessly to serve the residents of Newberry. Right now, with its property tax reform, the House Bill 186, we have to ensure Newberry is represented at the local, county, and state levels. I have social and economic development experience from volunteering, from coaching, creating community events and programs as I was a Kiwanis Club president for over 5 years, and finding and attracting new business growth for Newberry. Most importantly, my execution and accountability. I feel that too many local and federal politicians are long overdue for replacement with their continued lack of growth, lack of plan, and lack of execution for the future. We need to elect those who are agile and ready to go to work for their residents. Here's my how. Online township meetings, along with updating the township website to regain residents' trust and confidence in transparency and accountability. Real-time zoning requests, mirroring the county engineer's office. I'd like people and residents to know exactly where everything stands when they put a request in. Completion and updated land use plan, which has not been updated since June of 2010. The majority is obsolete and was never implemented. Updating zoning resolutions, which are now also obsolete and not up to the ORC revised code recommendations. Finally, I'd like to renegotiate the Newberry property, which is very near and dear to everyone's heart in Newberry, with the West Geauga school board members for Newberry to regain a sense of identity for the future. I hope my passion, experience, and most importantly, my commitment to serve the community, tell the story of what I'm about, what I'm capable of doing for Newberry. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Talk right into that, right?
Right into it. Loud as you can.
Well, I'm going to steal everybody else's opening. The legal opening, voters for anybody, all of us who can't reach here tonight, to speak. This is really the true grassroots of how our democracy works in our country. My name is Bill Skamrock, or Lake Skamrock Jr. I've had the pleasure of being Newberry Township trustee for nearly 24 years. During my tenure as trustee, I have served as the board vice president, and for the last 7 years, the board chairman, as well as sitting on, or being the liaison for the Newberry Road Maintenance Department. We have established in the equipment replacement program that's in line with our needs. Newberry Cemetery liaison. Our cemeteries are well maintained, and Newberry Township, I believe, is the only township in the state of Ohio that still gives free grave sites to our residents for the when they're in their time of need. I was also the liaison at one time to the Newberry Volunteer Fire Department, and as a former 15-year member of the Newberry Fire Department, I know what those individuals and men and women do, and the training required, and the time and effort that they put into it. We're pretty fortunate now we have a full-time department, so that's been a great thing. I was for the Geauga County Drug and Alcohol Consortium Committee. In its infancy, back a few years back, I was sat on the board due to my expertise in the transportation industry. Geauga County Safety Council, I'm a member of that as well, and due to that, in our participation in that, it's helped to keep our workers' compensation rate low. We received, it was also the Geauga County Sheriff's Department when the Newberry voters decided not to support the Newberry Police Department. I was instrumental in assisting the sheriff to maintain, to take over the records, and also to cover our residents in our time of need. I'm passionate about transparent management of the township funds. My experience translates well into the township trustee from my transportation background. Newberry Township has not increased taxes. Newberry Township has not increased taxes in the last 10 years, except for the recent fire levy that passed, that renovated our present fire station and added an addition and put on full-time members. As a trustee, I assisted in receiving some grants from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and I'm running out of time, and I have a lot to go. But anyway, I would appreciate your vote on November. So you have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Mr. Crowe.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me here tonight and all of you coming. My name is Greg Geauga. I'm running for Newberry Township trustee for my third term. I'm seeking to be reelected, but I want to continue the progress that I have made as a township trustee. To date, as a township representative to the Newberry Fire Department, I have worked with the department administration to design and build our new fire station. I also worked to help the transition from a volunteer fire department to a staff agency. I am proud to say the fire station's construction is completed on time and under budget. Additionally, I have worked to expand our road paving program. That in turn means more roads being paved yearly. Over the past few years, we have enhanced our parks with additions such as paved parking lots, driveways, upgraded ball fields, added basketball courts, currently constructing pickleball courts, and at long last, permanent restrooms facilities for the 2026 season. As a representative of the zoning commission, I recommended that the commission revise several areas of our zoning resolution. This includes the rezoning of some of our zoning districts. I support a balanced approach to zoning that is mindful of our limited infrastructure, encouraging strategic growth in our business districts, and that preserves Newberry's rural characteristics. My first year as trustee, our budget was rejected by the budget commission, and I was tasked with correcting and presenting a modified budget. After working with the township and county administrations, I presented the modified budget and was overwhelmingly approved. Newberry Township's budget has been approved every year for the past 7 years. The long-term fiscal stability of the township is a top priority. Regarding the ballot issue to eliminate property taxes, while I understand the goal of providing tax relief, I am opposed to the ballot issue to eliminate property taxes altogether. Instead, we should consider a more targeted approach to tax reform. I will work on funding solutions should this resolution pass. These solutions will include working with our township board, along with county and state officials. 5 years ago, Newberry School closed with the territory transfer to West Geauga schools. Whether you were for or against it is a moot point at this time. Our children now attend West Geauga schools, one of the top schools in the area. At the end of 2027, the current lease of the former school property will expire. The township leases the property from West Geauga. I would consider acquiring the property, but first the township will have to formulate a strategic plan before moving forward. My vision would be to retain and expand the current ball fields, incorporate overland park into a multi-use facility that would include town hall, administrative offices, and possibly a resident community room. I would also relocate our service departments so all township departments are on one campus. This concept of streamlined services and be more cost effective. We use a reserve fund account we've already begun to serve that project. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We have some questions from the audience. Mr. Bonner, I'm going to start with you. What challenges and solutions do you see for ensuring clean water and potentially helping residents maintain their septic systems? I ask everybody to speak with the microphone right by your mouth. So the question's around helping residents ensure clean water and maintaining their septic system.
Okay, well, maintaining your septic systems is going to be pretty much up to the people of the township. I mean, septic systems are all part of your property. They are inspected now by the county, so the county would actually have say so as to what if your septic is passed or does not. Clean water, well, the development would if we get overdeveloped, that would be a problem. Right now, the township has well well water is more than prevalent where we are at this point. We get overpopulated and we get more than we can handle, then, or we get some of the developments that want more than are allowed, smaller lots. Then you're gonna have to go into the water supply.
Thank you. Ms. Sayre, what challenges and solutions do you see for ensuring clean water and potentially helping residents maintain their septic system?
Kind of mirror what Steve was saying is that the county is responsible for maintaining the septic is working well for residents. So really kind of keeping an open line of communication with the county to ensure they're doing their job and their part in doing that. But again, same thing in mirror, it's well water predominantly in Newberry. So everyone's up to themselves to kind of maintain their well system and septic. But ultimately it's up to the county, not Newberry Township. So.
Mr. Scott.
The county, Geauga County Health Department is responsible for making sure that all the residents maintain their septic systems. They are really understaffed at this point now, so I would, make a maybe public statement, say please get your septic tanks clean, pumped out, in every other year, and be a good steward to the community. Other than that, once they get staffed, they're going to be annual inspections, and they'll be coming in and making an appointment to clean, to check your system, to make sure it's functioning properly, so that it would help keep the groundwater clean as well.
Mr. Trout.
I won't beat the dead horse. Yes, the county is in charge of the septic systems. However, your well water, yes, we all have well water. I would have it tested just to be safe. There are contaminants in well water. It's something you should look out for every couple of years. As far as trying certain things, use less fertilizers, use less Roundup, stuff like that. It is the best we can do as a small township is recommend things. We have plenty of septic tank companies that have come out and pump your tanks on a regular basis, highly recommended. Let the county take it from there.
Thank you. Ms. Sayre, I'm going to start with you. What is your opinion on property tax reform? And if they are reduced or eliminated, what is your plan to recuperate lost funds?
This is a hot topic right now. There was actually a provisional ballot that just went in place where it would not go back to the state for funding. So to be honest, it's the unknown. Right now, it's a giant challenge for every community. We're all going to be impacted, and so that's why we need representation, both locally, like I was kind of mentioning in my speech, locally at the county level and at the state level. And I don't feel that either has good representation and open line of communication because we need to know how that's going to impact us. But again, we have to figure out if there's a gap in funding, who's going to be paying for that.
Thank you. Mr. Scott.
Were you referring to the property tax reform that are?
Yes. What is your opinion on property tax reform? If they're reduced or eliminated, what is your plan to recuperate lost funds?
Well, I listened to the Ohio Township, the Geauga County Township Association. Mr. Chuck Walter spoke a couple of quarters ago about this topic, and it's a problem with our property taxes for sure. But what's the alternative? I don't think anybody has a plan. The plan is, okay, I'm against it, so let's stop with the person with the property tax. Well, how do you fund that? Do you raise your sales tax to the point where I think he made a comment of around 17 to 22% to subsidize your property tax? And then at that point, all right, we live pretty close. We're an hour away from the Pennsylvania border. Why would I buy anything in the state of Ohio? I'm going to go to the Pennsylvania and I'm going to buy all my goods and big ticket items. So with that being said, I don't know what at a township level I could do to curtail into that stuff.
Thank you. Mr. Trout.
As Bill said, there's not a lot we can do as a township. We can work with our county officials, our state officials. The first thing is to stop it before it gets passed. If it does get passed, the township will adjust. We've adjusted before. We had real estate taxes that increased this past year or two. And the township actually took a reduction out of one of our levies to offset some of those extra costs to our taxpayers. We'll do what we always do. We'll work through it, we'll figure it out, and we'll move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Bonner?
Well, I don't think that taking an axe at any tax is a smart move. We need to adjust, we need to plan, we need to understand what's going to happen before we can even say what we would do. So, as far as additional funding, we have to alert our constituents to ask for more money. And let's hope it doesn't come this year. So, I support reducing the elderly tax. But as far as the rest of us go, we're gonna have to pay our share and do what we have to do to get through.
Thank you. A new question, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Skamrock. What is the biggest challenge facing Newberry Township, and what is your plan to address it?
That's a loaded question. There's challenges every day. We had a meeting the other night, and our meeting room was full of people, and I looked to my right, and my fellow board members are sitting there, and I go, what's going on in our community that we don't know about tonight? And it just happened to be a small little item about a house that was supposed to be renovated, and it hadn't. And so there was a couple people from the area, in that residential area that wanted some more action. So we're going to pursue that. That's part of our zoning. The biggest challenge that I find right now is that I want to make Newberry a destination. I don't want it to be a drive-through community. I want to pursue the property, the former Newberry School property. I want to, as these other candidates had mentioned too, I'd like to develop that into rec center, ball fields, or potentially a new town hall.
Thank you.
Or anything.
Sorry. Thank you. Mr. Choate? Yep, there's a time limit on all the time.
There are several issues, the budget and the tax reform. However, another one that a lot of people overlook are employee retention. We're struggling with that now. It took us a long time to hire full-time service workers. We're competing with larger cities, bigger towns. Somebody gets $1 more, they're moving on. We're facing, right now, we're looking for a full-time zoning inspector. Ours just resigned because he was part-time, looking for a better opportunity, took it. We were late on the call, we should have made this a full-time position years ago. But I think everyone, or every company is facing the same problem, the same as every town and community. Employee retention in the future is gonna get any better. We have to start addressing it now. We offer some little perks. The service department during the non-snow season works 4 days a week. We try and get little perks just to keep them on as best we can, but I think that's going to be a growing concern in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Bonner, to you. What's the biggest challenge facing Newberry and your plan to address it?
Well, I think that zoning resolution needs to be addressed. I think that we need to have a plan to grow forward. We can't grow forward without knowing where we're going to go and knowing how we're going to get there. Planning with the township residents is exactly how we're going to get there. That's one of the biggest things that I think we're facing. We're going to have traffic issues. We're going to have overpopulation. We've got properties in Newberry that are large properties, i.e. the school property. What's going to happen to that? Is Geauga going to sell the property and we're stuck with whatever happens? I believe it's all residential right now, but Board of Zoning Appeals can change that, or the courts can change that. So we need to have a plan as to where we want to go as a township, and changing the zoning resolution, and having a plan is what I think we need to do.
Thank you. Ms. Sayre?
Besides property tax reform, which if you have the money and budget's cut, you're gonna cut your services. So besides that, and it's the unknown, like I just said, having no vision and no plan, that's the biggest thing, that hurdle that we have to have. So updating the land use plan will then, you talk about your zoning, you talk about the school property, it all follows underneath that land use plan. So we need to develop strategically and plan and execute that land use plan. I think that's the biggest struggle that Newberry has, is that vision. We're really trying to figure out our identity at Newberry, and so I think that is the biggest thing that we're going to struggle with. But I want to do surveys and hear the community input, so that way the residents feel heard this time around, and we really include them in the next vision for Newberry.
Thank you. Newberry Township residents will be choosing 2 of these 4 candidates in the November election. Thank you, Mr. Bonner, Ms. Sayer, Mr. Skamrock, and Mr. Cho. Russell residents have an issue on the ballot, a tax levy for 2.5 additional mills for police and EMS. It collects $999,145 annually, amounting to $88 for each $100,000. It commences in 2025 and is first due in 2026. Do we have a representative? Yes, hi. Mr. Slater? Thank you.
Everybody hear me? Nope. Hello. This thing's off. Problem all night. Yeah, how you doing? I'd like to introduce myself. I'm the police chief of Russell Township. My name is Thomas Wader. I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity to come here and speak with all of you tonight. I think it's important that you guys are all here because an informed voter is the best kind. So you took the steps to be the informed voter. So I wanted to say thank you for coming out. As our commentator already said, we do have an issue on the ballot. That ballot issue is for operation costs for the police department. Those operation costs will be for training for officers, for staffing, for building maintenance, and general operation costs. It is a continuing levy, and I can't say certain things based on ORC and legislation. So I guess again, the biggest thing is that this is a levy that is for operation costs for the township police department, and then those operation costs will be for the operations of the police department in all aspects.
Russell has limited commercial businesses and no big box stores. Can you share justification for needing a detective when you look at other cities like Chardon, who does not have a detective yet has big box stores?
Yeah, so currently how our police department operates is when we receive a type of call that requires lengthy investigations. Not every crime I wish was solved within 24 hours, but it's not like that. So when things that take lengthy investigations, our patrol officers are handling those things. So the detective would be for use to investigate those crimes that take, the extra mile, and that officer would also be trained to specially handle those situations.
How much of the newly generated 1 mil from this levy do you expect to see in your operating budget versus going to reserves or for other use?
I guess on the technical questions, I would refer to our wonderful staff in our fiscal office. It was a collaborative effort, with the trustees and the township officials to, set the budget. I don't set our budget. I operate within our budget. So if the budget was any question, I would say that it's probably best to our fiscal staff.
Okay, one last question. What options or alternative solutions were discussed prior to deciding to ask for this levy?
I think that'd probably be a better question for the trustees. But I mean, we look at all avenues to provide the best services to our residents. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We want to provide not only the best operations to the Russell residents, but also the greater community of Geauga County. So I think that question, the alternatives would be more geared towards the trustees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next group of candidates that I've asked to come up to the front are the candidates for Russell Township trustee. Residents will be choosing 2 of 6 candidates: Chris Hare, Amy Hoopmaker, John Ishii, Brian Kasura, Trent Mater, and Barry Rogers. Mater. I said I was going to get it right. Sorry. Chris Hare, we'll ask you to
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this great event tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us. I'm Chris Hare, your Russell Township trustee. This year, it's been a privilege to serve as your trustee and on our park district for the past 3 years in Russell. I have first attended trustees meetings in 2020 as a resident and enjoyed being able to serve my neighbors on the board side too. Russell is moving in the right direction, and I'd like to stay the course in community engagement, fiscal responsibility, and pro-residential conservation zone. Firstly, and most importantly, is your tax dollars. As a voter, it's important to ask your trustee, what's your plan with the general fund, also known as inside millage, which is subject to unvoted tax increases through evaluations? My answer is simple. It should start to be used to help fund our road, police, and fire departments, the services people expect, and when our budget can handle it, some tax relief through some applicable consideration of levy relief. As we wait for property tax reform in Columbus, these are steps Russell should start making more permanent. While the idea can only stretch so far, it's the first step in helping our admirably cost-conscious departments stretching out their budget projections every year. On my first year on the board, we did this by some general fund assistance to the fire department to meet recommended cash reserves and to help fund the dormitory update. We live in one of the smallest townships with around 25% of our land, fortunately, in parks and conservation, with large lot zoning and no significant commercial districts to tax. So I believe it's extremely careful that we do not overcommit divisions and projects outside of our basic services in order to protect you, the taxpayers. I meet with our road, police, and fire departments weekly to hear about their evolving equipment and staffing needs, and we collaborate on how to properly save for these needs. Additionally, our hardworking fiscal office and our departments are hunting down grant opportunities as alternate funding outside of levies and as an irreplaceable help to taxpayers. Secondly, as our new community room has begun hosting our meetings, I voted on a few equipment upgrades to complement the new press box plugins for reporters, tech that allows for displays of our spreadsheets and building plans for residents to view, along with the trustees at meetings for better public participation. And most anticipated is our tech being installed to finally live stream our meetings. Shortly, we will pass an updated zoning guideline book greatly worked on by Mr. Rogers through years of hard work. And I support Russell's low commercial, large lot zoning. Not only does large lot zoning allow for sustainable development and conservation, but future generations will be thankful for the benefits this has on our water tables. So I ask you to vote November 4th, and thank you for your time.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you to the League of Women Voters, for you, the voters, for coming out and my fellow candidates. Good evening, my name is Amy Hoopmaker. Lately, it feels like we're being pitted against each other, even in small towns like Russell. Algorithms decide what we see, reinforcing what we already believe. This is called confirmation bias. And it can make us think our neighbors are our enemies. These systems reward outrage over understanding, clicks over conversation, and they're working all too well. In my conversations with many of you over the last couple of months, I've heard your frustration with collapsing properties, lack of accountability from trustees in the township, and fear when neighbors are threatened with violence just for being different. But despite our differences, we all want the same thing. We want safety from police and fire and our EMS services, good roads, the removal of eyesore properties, and transparency from township government. As a former volunteer firefighter, I learned that when the call comes in, you don't ask who voted for who. You just go. You trust the person next to you in your life, and you act for the greater good. As a mental health counselor with Metro Health, I've spent years helping people listen, and I mean really listen. Even when it's hard, I believe and live by the principle of my current occupation of unconditional positive regard. That means meeting people where they are, not where I wish they were. That means respecting people with values different from mine simply because they are human. These experiences shape how I want to serve Rushville Township. I'm not running to represent one group. I'm running to represent all of us and all of its residents. Township doesn't need any more intimidation. It needs oversight, clarity, and connection. It needs someone who can quiet the static and focus on what matters. Fiscal responsibility, working infrastructure, and leadership that listens to everyone. We can't fix division overnight, but we can start here together by stepping outside of the algorithms and into real life and our communities. I'm asking for your support, not just for me, but for a better way of doing local government. One that listens before it reacts, builds before it blames, and remembers we're neighbors before we're anything else. Thank you, and see you on November 4th.
Mr. Ishii.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I think I've heard a lot of times. Really? How's this? How's this? I've heard many times that public speaking is, people are more afraid of that than snakes. And I think I'd be more comfortable right now holding a snake. But here goes. My name is John Ishii. I was born in Chardon and have lived in Geauga County all my life. In my 20s, I trained as a machinist and worked as a certified tool and die maker for over a decade. And in 2004, I made a big career change and became a plumber. I went from being inside the same four walls every day to traveling house to house, meeting new people, and getting to know my community in a whole new way, and I loved it. I started my own plumbing company in 2008, and through that work I discovered something powerful. I truly enjoy helping people. Whether it's fixing a major issue or solving a small problem, I find real purpose in being of service, especially to our senior citizens. For many older adults, staying in their homes is incredibly important. But maintaining a home can be a real challenge. Even a small plumbing leak can cause a lot of stress. Being able to step in, fix the issue, and give someone peace of mind is incredibly fulfilling. In 2019, I moved to Russell to help care for my aging parents. And it's been one of the most meaningful decisions in my life. Today, I'm their full-time caregiver. My mother is visually impaired and my father lives with dementia. Without me, they would be in assisted living. Caring for them has deepened my understanding of service and what it truly means to show up for the people who need you. For the last 2 years, I've partnered with the Geauga Department of Aging to provide portable plumbing repairs for seniors. That partnership has only reinforced my belief in community and compassion. Over the years, many of my customers have encouraged me to run for office, but I'm not a politician. I'm a neighbor, business owner, and a caregiver. But when I was asked again this summer, I thought, now that I'm in Russell, I'd like to be more involved in my community. If elected as a Russell Township trustee, I'll bring the same values I bring to my work and my family. Listening closely, responding with care, and finding practical, effective solutions. And I want to serve the people of Russell with honesty, humility, and heart. It would be a true honor and privilege to serve as Russell trustee. Thank you.
Mr. Nisser. Sure.
My name is Brian Fisher and I'm running for Russell trustee. Why do I want to be a Russell trustee? Because service is very important to me and I have a history of it. I've been an officer in the United States Army since 2001. I took that oath because because service and this country meant something to me. I was a member of the 10th Mountain Division and served on active duty for 4 years. After stepping down from active duty, I joined the Army Reserves and have been a member of the Army Reserves ever since. I transferred into the Army Reserves in about 2010, and at that point, I've risen to the ranks. I'm now the command judge advocate for the 475th Quartermaster Group out of Farrell, PA. But after returning home, I wasn't ready to step out of that issue of service, and I looked to my local community. And I became a councilman for the village of South Russell. There, I sat on the Parks Committee, the Zoning and Building Committee, and I was the chair of the Finance Committee. There, we had balanced the budget each year, and we were able to do a lot of projects for the community that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. Professionally, I'm a partner at the law firm of McDonald Hopkins. I'm a litigator, but more importantly, I'm a solution maker. I help people with their problems. I represent businesses and individuals in litigation matters, but more importantly for this position, I represent municipalities and government organizations in zoning and public law matters. Personally, I married my college sweetheart. We've been married for 22 years and we have 4 boys, ages 9 to 19. I spend a lot of my free time going to soccer games and hockey games and cross-country meets, and frankly, I feel like an unpaid worker. But it's a wonderful experience. Additionally, I've been the Boy Scout leader for the past 5 years at St. Joan of Arc. So why do you want me as Russell trustee? It's because I have something to offer. My background and experience offers the things that you need to help ask the questions to make informed decisions. I am a leader, not only in the Army, but in my firm. I have the intestinal fortitude to stand up and ask the hard questions and get the real answers. My family and I moved to Russell for the large lots and the landscape and police and the fire. And I want to keep that as long as we can. But I want to position Russell for the future. And for this reason, and for all of these reasons, I would ask for your vote on November. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Costura. Mr. Mathieu.
Good evening. Thank you to the league, and thank you to all of you who have come out this evening to inform yourselves. That's happening. My name is Craig Mathieu. I'm a retired commercial banker and investment banker. I've worked with Nate, Key, PNC, and I have made my career working with businesses and solving problems. I've lived in Russell for 7 years. I'm a grandfather of 7, and I have 3 grandchildren and a daughter that lives in South Russell. So that explains one of the reasons why I'm in Russell. I'm a graduate of Miami University. I have an MBA from the University of Toledo, and I bring to the position, or would, a strong business financial background, extensive management experience, communication skills, strong leadership, and experience both professionally and in nonprofit organizations. I'm the past president of the Cleveland and the Columbus from McDonald House. I bring a lot of energy and fresh ideas to any position that I am in, and if elected, I will serve with integrity and transparency. In terms of the issues, I feel that there are a number of things that can be improved, but essentially it comes down to money and the management of money. We're all faced with inflationary pressure. I do believe that the township needs to be very focused on the management of its expenditures to avoid the need for tax increases. And I think that is difficult for a community like Russell because of the rural nature, which is certainly one of the reasons that I love it, and that we need to be focused on minimizing our expenditures while, our tax increase needs and essentially supporting the essential needs that are required. I think that additionally, safety and communication is a need that I can address, and I will ask you to support me on November 4th. And thank you for
Mr. Reiner.
Good evening. Let me extend my thanks to all of you in the audience and the League of Women Voters. I'm Barry Rudd, a husband to my wife Carolyn, over 40 years. She is currently in Ireland visiting our daughter. I'm father of 3 daughters, 10 grandchildren. There were more than when we were here. I believe it was past their bedtime. They do live here in Russell, so they were here to try and support me. I'm currently chairman of the Russell Zoning Commission. Zoning is the backbone of our large lot zoning and really the reason we have the community that we all love so much. As chairman, I've met with current trustees, the county officials, police and fire departments, neighboring communities to update our zoning. I understand zoning well, and that'll be important as we move forward as a trustee. Structural engineer, vice president of a engineering and construction company. Engineers are trained in problem solving. We learn listening, researching, evaluating, developing logical solutions. All things will be really important as a trustee to address our issues. Participated in a Russell Fire Department planning session last year, 2 weekends, 2 full days. It really gave me a good understanding of Russell's fire department. Just as an example, our Russell Fire Department can reach any home in Russell within 5 minutes. That's really a credit. That's 24/7. They're there within 5 minutes. A great credit. Similarly, I am participating now in the Citizens Police Academy. Great way to learn about the police department. It is open to residents. They will have a session next year. One of the things we did recently is we actually went into the Geauga County Jail. Fascinating experience. All of my time with these departments will really help in my role as a trustee. My goals for the community are very simple, really great. One is just to maintain that wonderful lifestyle we have, the rural lifestyle we have. Secondly, we want to maintain and improve the great services, police, fire, and road department. Thirdly, we have to control costs. Okay? We all pay taxes. We don't like it, we have to. A couple of additional ideas that I've had I'd like to put forth. One is communication. We really want to reach out to the community. One way I'd like to do that is revamp our township website. I'd like to involve the Westview students, get them involved so that they can add their ideas to it and get them involved in the community. Also like to expand the community day concept. Right now we have Coffee with a Cop coming up soon. It's on the 18th. Please attend if you can. I'd like to extend that to include all the departments in the town so we get to learn about them, have a chance to talk to them. And recreation, we are currently talking with the trustees about adding pickleball courts. I'd like to also look at upgrading playgrounds. My grandchildren did that. So that's something that we also should be able to get some grants for. Thank you for your attention, and remember, vote Roger for Russell. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. With most of our initiatives on the ballot, we've got more questions than we have time for unless everybody wants to be here till midnight. So our screeners have pared it down to 3, which we'll ask all of you. If you asked a question and we weren't able to get to it, please stick around. I'm sure the candidates would be happy to take your questions. at the end of the meeting. Okay, Mr. Hare, I'm gonna start with you. The recent issue with the new Township Hall building shows how important oversight is. How do you propose to make sure taxpayers' money is well spent?
Is that a town hall or the community building?
Just read what
So
you give me.
either way, I'd be very happy to answer that. So when we evaluate projects such as repairing our town hall or community building, a lot of that's funded out of our general fund, which is funded by inside millage, which is what you see increase through the revaluation cycles. And I think going forward, the trustees don't have too many buildings, pardon me, don't have too many projects on the docket to spend inside millage on. So I'd like to use the general fund to both maintain existing buildings they're built. Let's make sure that they're in good shape for use for HOAs or for the trustees to use, and otherwise we should use the remainder of our general fund to give to our departments. But in terms of our town hall, I think we should just keep it for basic use at this time. I think that's the best use of taxpayer dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Ms. Hoopmaker.
Yes, please.
Okay. With the recent issues with the new Township Hall building shows how important oversight is. How do you propose to make sure taxpayers' money is well spent?
Well, in this inflationary cycle that we still find ourselves in, budgeting right now has been a very difficult situation for a lot of communities, and Russell's been not exempt from that as well. Strict oversight is required. There's still, when I was out collecting signatures, that was one of the big things that I heard from the community as well. What happened with the budget? What happened with the new community center? What's the purpose of it? And is it really open to the community? And so providing that oversight and communication back to the community is an important function of the trustees, as well as for the community to be able to enjoy the new building, because it is a very nice building and it's great, a lot better acoustics from what I've heard on the inside.
Thank you. Mr. Ishii.
Okay, where's my snake? Not being an elected official ever, or being a politician, I really don't have an opinion on this. I know that if elected, I would collaborate with the board of trustees and with any residents and just make the best decisions for the township.
Thank you. Mr. Kostura.
I think it comes down to the nice to haves and the have to haves. The nice to haves are those things that you would like to spend money on, but really don't have the funds to do it right now. And those have to haves are those things that are specific to police, fire, safety, roads. Those are the core principles that the trustees should be focusing on. If you're not focusing on those as your representative, you are failing your residents. So when we start looking at the new township hall, it's a great facility. It's a wonderful facility for people to be able to come in and utilize it. But I'm not sure all of the questions were asked when the project started to make sure that it came in on time and on budget. And that's the issue that your trustees should be focusing on, is what is a nice to have and what is a have to have.
Thank you. Mr. Mathieu.
Yes, I think that the town hall is really a good example of an expenditure that needed to be scrutinized extensively. And I can only hope that it was in terms of alternatives and other ways to address what was a need, but maybe not a have-to-have need. Essential services are the key. The monies for the town hall were taken away from the general fund, or taken from that, and would have been available to provide support to the essential services that had not been expended in that fashion. And I do think that it is paramount that the trustees, that the management of the township focus on every expenditure to avoid tax increases whenever possible.
Thank you.
due to the inflationary environment we're in.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers.
Thank you. First, let me say the new building was very much needed. I was my zoning committee in the old building for multiple years. It was very difficult to hear and really to listen to the public because the acoustics were horrible. The building was just dated, it needed to be replaced. The new community building, I assure you, as an engineer and a builder, you got a great bargain. That was a very good cost for the facility you have. If anything, the trustees got a little too aggressive, cut a little too far, and thus we ended up with some issues on acoustics within the building. That's been corrected, added back some acoustic panels to get it under control. So it really is a great value that you got for that building. The interesting question to be addressed, and still an open question to be resolved moving forward, is what to do with the old town hall. That's still a solid building. The question is how to put it to good use for the citizens of the community.
Thank you. Ms. Hoopmaker, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Russell Township, and what would be your plan to address it?
The biggest township challenge right now, as I see it, is the continuation of proper funding, and as well the issue that I've heard a lot and that I've written a lot about on my blog is a lot of vacant properties within the township. It's hard to believe that a community with high property values such as Russell has so many vacant properties. Unfortunately, one fell down on March 4th of this year, the Vilmas property at the corner of Bridgewood and 306. Mr. Vilmas passed away in 2019. The properties went into probate, and none of the relatives came back here to take care of the property, and eventually it collapsed. I do give the current trustees credit for acting on the property now and declaring it an emergency situation. However, that property, it was overgrown a long time ago with vacant and dilapidated cars on it, and it should have been acted upon sooner, I believe.
Thank you. Mr. Ishii.
Can I have the question again?
Yes, what's the biggest issue facing Russell Township in your opinion, and what would you do to address it?
My top priority would be to maintain and protect Russell's rural way of life and work to protect our quality of life through a community-driven approach.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Costura.
I think our biggest issue as Russell residents and as a trustee is focusing on how to prepare the township for the future while still being cognizant of what makes Russell such a wonderful place to live. You know, we love the fact that it has large lots, that there's a lot of green space, and that we have a great fire, police, and streets division. But the fact of the matter is, all of that comes at a cost. And so we have to, as residents and as representatives of those residents, we need to keep in mind, how do we create budgets that are sustainable with the limited resources that we have? And so, if elected, my primary goal would be to position Russell to effectively and efficiently carry out all of those mandatory needs that we need for our residents, which make this such a wonderful place, while keeping a balanced budget.
Thank you. Mr. Materi.
You've already heard my opinion on fiscal management, and so I'll talk about maybe some other issues that I think we can address. One is the safety within the community. I do believe that there is an issue on the state routes that run through Russell, that the speed limits are too high, and that we should ask ODOT to take a look at the speed limits in order to improve the safety for the residents of the community and those that are visiting us. I do think that we also have a need to improve the communication to the residents from the trustees and the board relative to the newsletter and providing the nature of a form of updating the residents.
Thank you, Mr. Mateer. Mr. Rogers.
Thank you. The big issue, I believe, for all of us in all the communities we're talking to tonight is money. It's the challenge coming up next year with the property tax issue is huge, and I prefer to, at this point, not to dive any deeper into that. I want to bring up a different issue that we haven't talked about tonight. It's really, I call it an age diversity for lack of anything better. Russell is an aging population. Our average age right now is 49 years old, 45 for the county, and it's 41 for the state. So we are more aged in our population than other communities. My neighbor across the street is 100 years old just recently. So we need to recognize the difference in needs for people that are senior level, but also the youngsters, like my grandchildren that we have earlier tonight, they want different things. So as I mentioned earlier, we want pickleballs and playgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hick.
I think the biggest challenge that we face here in Russell Township is that lovely letter that we mailed to Mr. Hitchcock at the Geauga County Treasurer's Office twice a year. I think what it really comes down to is our taxes. As Mr. Rogers had mentioned, we live in one of the most senior townships or villages in Geauga County. And as I mentioned before in the start, being that 26% of our land is in conservation, being that we don't have a commercial district to tax, being that we don't really have an expectation of future taxpayers moving in, we have to change the way we approach our general fund. As I mentioned before, we have to, as Mr. Pistorius said, what are the needs and the wants? Are we gonna look at building another playground or building, or is that money better spent on police, fire, roads, or even, when possible, tax relief?
Thank you. And our last question, and some of you have hit on it, but I'm going to ask a more pointed question. As trustee, who is responsible for determining wants versus needs? Is it the department head or the trustee? If it's the trustee, how would you or will you approach this task? And I am going to start with you, Mr.
Thank you. Pass.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald.
You elect trustees because you're looking for leadership. The trustees answer to people. The department heads answer to the trustees. And so they may be experts in their specific area, and you do have to rely upon them for the needs that those departments need. But ultimately, as Truman once said, the buck stops here. You are responsible as the trustee for the money that comes in and out of the township. If you don't have the intestinal fortitude to look your department head in the eye and ask the questions necessary to support why we're spending money on things, then maybe you shouldn't be here. And maybe you shouldn't be trying to be elected for this position. It's a hard row to hoe. I'm sorry to say that, but the reality is that's what you're asking us to do.
Thank you. Mr. Mateer. Yes. As a trustee, who is responsible for determining wants versus needs? Is it the department head or trustees?
I think it's clearly trustees, and I think that you rely on the department heads to bring forward their needs for consideration, and the trustees need to and must evaluate that given the circumstances that they are dealing with on a broad basis, revenue, other expenditures, and make a choice in some cases a tough decision.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers.
Yes, I think that this issue is an interesting question. I don't know that I put the department heads against the trustees. In my opinion, it's a team effort, and really I would include the public in that. It should be a three-legged stool with all three parties having participation and involvement and really expressing their preferences and wants and needs. So I would really propose that we want to be able to get into a collaborative mode, work together to address the issue, do the research, find out the background to it, look at the options, see if there is not an answer that meets everyone's needs as much as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Hare.
So I think one of the most important things about this job is meeting with our department heads. And I can certainly say that our department heads, I think they probably lock the doors when they see the Kia Forte roll in, because I try to spend as much time as I can meeting with them to understand what does it take to run a fire department, what does it take to run a police department, what does it take to run a road department. And sometimes there's give and take in saying, well, we would like this for our department. And the first questions you have to ask is, okay, let's compare this to Newberry or Chesterland or Bainbridge. How do they compare? Is this something that they found irreplaceable to their day-to-day operations? Or is this something which would be a marginal benefit? But I think what it comes down to, again, is meeting with your department heads, which I'm doing at this time every week, to figure out, to question them and test those items.
Thank you. Ms. Hoopmaker.
The responsibility ultimately lies with the trustees, and it comes down to listening. We need to listen to our residents. We need to listen to the department heads specifically, and as well as our other government partners at the county and state level. As trustees, the function is, as a board of trustees, to operate the township and determine the needs in conjunction with the other constituents and stakeholders within the township. Department heads have played a critical role. They've let us know as trustees and as community members what is required for them to fulfill their missions and their duties to the residents of Russell Township.
Thank you so much. Thank you, candidates, for the Russell Township trustee race. You will be choosing 2 of the 6 candidates here today, Mr. Hare, Mr. Hoopmaker, Mr. Richmond, Mr. Gutierrez, and Mr. And last, but certainly not least, and thank you to the audience for your patience. We have some crowded races, which is always really exciting. Our last group of candidates will be for Chester Township trustee. You'll be choosing 2 of 5, Jamie Alves, Brandon Davis, Julianne Mazurko, Michael Petrozello, and Craig Richards. Ms. Alves. Thank you, Ms. Alves.
Hello, my name is Jamie Alves, and I am running for trustee. I am the wife of Stephen Farrick. We have trustee Joel in town, and we have been a part of the community for 35 years. We have been married for 8 years. So since then, I've come into small business life and learned how to run a small business and manage a budget and take care of everything from taxes to ordering to being a resident and a taxpayer. We recently went through some trials ourselves and got involved in the community. We started doing the town meetings and trustee meetings, zoning, and a lot of issues came up for us with zoning. And so we ran into a lot of people that kept saying to me, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you get involved? Why don't you contribute? So that's why I'm here, because the things that were happening to us, I felt it happening to a lot of people that were coming into our store, and they were telling us their problems and what they run into as being a taxpayer, and I just don't think it's right. So I would like to make a difference I would like to be a part of managing things better and using the money appropriately and where it belongs. And I think the taxpayers have a right to have input with that. And they haven't for a very long time because things have stalled in Chesterland for some reason. Things haven't developed, they haven't moved forward. And anytime somebody comes to the table with an idea, it's denied, it's declined, and it goes nowhere. So with that, I am here to hopefully make a difference and have a younger approach and be open-minded to people and their ideas and listening and budgeting and using the money appropriately for the roads and the police and the fire services that people are entitled to. So for a long time in Chester, we've noticed now that things have been run down and they haven't been taken care of. And the police wasn't up to date and the fire wasn't up to date. And we didn't realize that until we had the congregate care issue. So now that we know, we need to do something about it. So I hope to have your consideration on November 4th. That's it.
All right, it's late in the night. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I attended my first League of Women Voters event like 20 years ago. I was invited by my friends Sally and Lucy, and they were people that as soon as you showed up, you volunteered. So then I volunteered at League of Women Voters events for years. So appreciate it. You're doing great work, and it's thank you all for being here also. My name is Brandon Davis. I'm running for Chester Township Trustee. I started my career in field and construction, worked my way up through superintendent, project management, eventually to business executive and owner of construction-related companies like I am today. There's a lot I could go through my career. We have a website, Facebook, etc. There's magazine articles if you search it, so please look that up. But my wonderful wife, Katie, who's here somewhere, we decided about a decade, a little more than a decade ago, we needed to figure out where we would lay down our roots. We could have been anywhere in the country because of businesses I was involved in and still am involved with. And we chose Ohio, Northeast Ohio, and we found and selected Chester. We selected Chester because, you know, the great town services, safety, the good schools that are now great schools, lower taxes, and rural living. These are the reasons we selected Chester. And I want to be trustee because I want to keep and enhance those same things that made us select Chester. So my kids will choose to come back and raise their kids here. And we have 5 kids, so that's a population growth of significance. As trustee, I'm committed that I'll team with others, both inside and outside the government, to solve challenges that come up. I will be action orientated. We will take actions. That's what we do in business. This isn't your old school Chester establishment. I am not that. I am different. There's other options if you want that. But we will be in service, and I will bring new energy and new ideas to the table. I think our first initial things that we'll focus on is transparency and communications. We want to make Chester's commercial district great again, right? It's not what it used to be. We want to enhance it. We want to have best-in-class services that are efficient and effective. We want to protect our country living lifestyle. We are the gateway to country living. Geauga needs to stay on its border where it belongs. And we want to advocate for policies that help our senior citizens age in place so they can stay in this great community. I ask for your vote. That's what I'm here to do today, is ask for your vote. I appreciate it. There's a lot of information out there on the web, but I promise I'll do my best to earn your vote every day, not just today, not just election day, but every day. So I ask you, please write in on the ballot, Brandon Davis, fill the bubble too. You can vote for 2 of any of them that's on the ballot. So thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Julianne Mazurko. My maiden name is Levan. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me tonight. Can you all hear me? Okay? Louder? How's that? I've been married for 35 years. To my husband, Joe Mazurka, who is a current trustee right now here in Chesterland. We have 2 children, a daughter-in-law and a grandbaby on the way. I've been a resident for over 45 years. I was born here and moved to Las Vegas when I was 11 with my family and moved back to my hometown 8 years later because I've always called Chesterland my home. I have deep roots here. My parents moved here in the early 60s along with my aunts, uncles, cousins, now third cousins, niece, great nieces, great nephews. They're all still living here, so I have really deep roots here. My immediate family moved back here as well, and my sister is a doctor here in town. I work for a private sector for more than 28 years, which includes office management, employee relations, workers' compensation, customer relations, and day-to-day issues. I have participated in numerous community organizations, which include fundraising groups through West Geauga schools for 23 years, and I ski patrol at Alpine Valley for many years. My priorities are to maintain fiscal responsibility by maintaining a balanced budget and not spend money we don't have, and remember our sources of revenue is inside mileage and tax levies, and continue to maintain the current levels of service to residents like the police, fire, EMS, road maintenance, zoning, and solid waste with no new taxes. I am honest, dedicated, experienced, passionate, and proud of the town I have dreamed about since I was a little girl. So preserving the semi-rural township I love, I will always be my priority, and that's the reason why I raised my children here. That's why Chesterland will always be home, and I will always protect it as if it was my own town. Thank you, and vote Julie Ann Mazurko right in. Thank you.
Mr. Petrozelli.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you for you're all my good neighbors here in Chesterland and surrounding townships, and I thank you all for coming. It's going to be a great day. My name is Mike Petrozelli. I'm running as a write-in for Chesterland Township trustee. I've been a long-time resident of Chesterland. I've been here for 40 years. I've been married to my wife, for 56 years. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren, all went to West Geauga School, which I'm very proud of. I've been a businessman since 1979. I've been on my own since 1979, and I deal with all sorts of companies, GE, Martin, so forth, IBM, Microsoft, all high-tech stuff. I'm sorry. My past experience as a township trustee I was a trustee for 4 years in Geauga County. I was also a Geauga County Park District. Currently, I'm sitting on the Geauga Mental Health Board, and I'm on the Metropolitan Housing Authority Board. Both of those, I'm in my second term on both of them, and that's an appointment as my duty for the county commissioners. They appoint me to those positions. And I do that voluntarily. I think it's important that we volunteer back to our communities. So some of my accomplishments at both of those boards, I've been treasurer for both of them in understanding and appropriating funds and budgets, helping them understand and working their way through them. On the mental health board, we finally appropriated some money and we established new living quarters for people with mental health issues in our county, a problem that was never addressed. And it's been addressed now, and we're going to continue to go forward with that. Unfortunately, if I get elected to trustee, which I hope I do for the township of Chesterland, I'll have to give up that mental health seat, but I'll still be on the Metropolitan Housing Authority.
That is important to me because we have many veterans and other low-income people in our county that need housing, and we need to take care of those people. We're all residents of this county. There are brothers and sisters we have to take care of. So that's why I'm seeking that position. I'm running this. I wasn't planning on running, but when I found out we didn't have enough people on the ballot, I put my name in as a write-in. I've been here before, I've done it, and I think I can bring a lot of help to this county, to our township. So that's why I'm running, and I respectfully request that you vote for me as a write-in. Michael J. Petrozello, circle the thing, and then if you need to talk to me, I'm available. I'll be here all night. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Hello, for those who don't know me, my name is Craig Richter, and I'm seeking re-election for Chester Township trustee. A little bit about me. I grew up in Russell Township, graduated from West Geauga High School in 1982. I have an undergraduate degree from The Ohio State University, a master's in business from John Carroll University, and a master's in tax from Akron University. After a brief retirement last year, I chose to go back to work, and I'm currently a director of tax for a private organization owned by a private equity firm. Although I do look forward to real retirement next year during the summer of 26. Along with my young family, I had the opportunity to move back to this area in Chesterland in 2002. At that time, I immediately got back involved in volunteering for my community with local organizations and getting involved in local and county politics. My first stint was treasurer for Dan McClellan, for then Sheriff Dan McClellan. In 2013, I was honored to be appointed as the Chester Township Fiscal Officer. I served in that role until 2020. There were a lot of positive changes that happened during those years. Although as fiscal officer, I always said that I had a voice but no vote. So that is one of the reasons why in 21 I ran for the current term that I'm in. I felt that being part of the legislative body, I would have the opportunity to make a real difference. There will always be items that require trustees' attention and time. On my list for this next term is ensuring that the current land use plan committee recommendations are in line with our township's rural and green initiatives. And continue to make sure that township money is spent wisely. A huge win this term was lowering legal fees. In the 2 years that I was out of office between fiscal officer and trustee, the township board spent over $200,000 on outside legal fees and employee settlements. Over this term, our legal fees have been around $15,000 in the last 4 years. In addition, what was lost was the budgeting. I reestablished as trustee the 10-year budgeting forecast and continue to drive home the point to all our department heads of making the monies go further. My biggest goal or plan this coming term, would be to get some of the older dilapidated buildings in our township replaced. We had a recent, vote on November 4th, please check the box and vote for Craig.
Ms. Alice, I'm going to start with you. The first question from the audience. What should the township do about vacant properties in the center of the commercial district?
Well, the township trustees have the authority to have those properties removed at the expense, obviously, with the tax money, which then would put a lien onto the property for the owner of the property when they go to sell. It would obviously be paid back in return. I know that that's been a problem mentally for them to understand in the trustee department, that they feel like it would go on into a trust situation where property would never actually get sold and transferred, making the money paid back to the trustees fund. But I don't feel like we should be punished and have to look at a dilapidated building anywhere. I mean, that's in the center of town. It's not something that we deserve. It's not safe. We don't know if there's anyone in there living. It's falling apart. It's got black mold. I mean, there's a thousand reasons why, but it's also in the center of town. So I think it's the duty of the trustees to handle it.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
Dealing with those type of properties in the center of town, I think is something we really need to be proactive about. We've let them sit for a long time now. Now falling, one is falling in on itself. There's things we can do, there's things we can't do, but everything we can do is be proactive, try to encourage other people to come in, develop it, actively do that type of economic development. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't go after, the state of Ohio set aside $100 million for the building demolition and site revitalization initiative that communities could put into to take down blighted buildings. We didn't even try for that building. There's also community block grant that's allowed to remove blight, which we could have went to the county and tried to get that. I used to sit on a block grant committee that distributed those funds. There's things we can do that don't always take up the taxpayer dollars. Some taxpayer dollars might be needed in there, but we really need to proactively address those types. That doesn't represent what Chester is.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Zerko.
Well, there is some eyesore in downtown Chesterland for sure. I am for taking, these old buildings down for sure. There are some grants out there that I would like to look into. There's a historical grant. There's a budget too. It's private property. It's not owned by the township. So you have to be careful. And it's expensive to take down a building. It's not cheap. So I would be for taking it down and looking to see what else we could do to have it paid for instead of the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Petrozello.
I agree with everybody's saying here about that, but there's some buildings that are occupied that are eyesores, and we need to talk to those people who own those buildings and try to convince them to upkeep their buildings. The eyesores in downtown Chesterland, we do have the ability under the ORC to take those properties down, and then build back people who own that property when it does get sold. So I don't understand why there's such a controversy about removing those properties right now. It should have been done a long time ago. That's what I would do. I would just tear them down and build a company there.
Thank you. Mr. Richter.
So tearing it down is a little more complicated than that. When you tear down a building that is zoned in on that lot, you're actually going to take away the right of the property owner to rebuild the same building. So you have zoning issues, you do have other legal issues, and it is a hope that you get the money back. We recently were contacted by the auditor's office that there was a lien on a building that was put in wrong, so we didn't get the $30,000 that we were going to get back. So we can put $200,000 into tearing this down and never see it again.
Thank you. The next question is about the budget, and I'm going to start with Mr. Davis. Chesterland has a budget carryover. What are your thoughts on this? What would you give tax dollars back to citizens, or what would you do with these funds?
I'm not currently on the trustees, and to be honest, understanding our budget for a normal citizen is very hard. I did a public records request to get the document. It's got 100 tabs. It's a bunch of line items. It's really hard to dig in and really understand the details of what's being spent in our township. If you ever want to, I'll send it to anybody. Ask me, I have it now, so I'll send it. We do have a carryover. It's good, I think, for just like in business or in your life, to have a savings fund to carry some stuff over, It's just a matter of how much you're carrying over. I think the Budget Commission has actually given
our trustees, I think, Craig will know better, a good score on how they're managing the budget and the amount of carryover that they're carrying.
Thank you. Mrs. Mazurko. Ms. Mazurko.
So, my husband being a trustee now, I hear a lot of things about the budget. It's not easy. They try to look on ways to take from one place to another. I'm not really, I'm familiar with the budget, but not really enough to get into deep conversation about it. I know that if I was elected, I would look very deeply into it. I don't make rash decisions. So if I were to win, if I were to be a trustee, I would definitely look more into the budget.
Thank you. Mr. Petrosello.
The problem with our budget is the appropriations. Every year we come up with a budget, and at the end of the year, everybody's going to do the budget in our Chester Township. At least when I was a trustee, we're going to be in the red. We're going to be in the red. So every year there's a surplus, which means the money isn't being allocated correctly and the budgets aren't being put together correctly. And they need to start appropriating the funds, going to the right projects for what they want to do in the future. And the way to do that, I've done it with the mental health court, and I've done it for the mental housing court. And that's what I would do.
Thank you. Mr. Richter.
So our budget is well under control. First of all, I have the budget forecast out for 10 years. All of our services are funded properly. The only one that is at risk is our road department. And currently our general fund is $750,000 a year to support our road department. So the issue about a carryover isn't that it's a carryover. By ORC, we have to start the year with 25% of the budget to make sure before we start getting tax dollars that we can run the township efficiently. So I don't see the budget. I don't see any issue with our budget. And the only reason why we're starting to see excess funds is because of interest over the last 4 years and the recent revaluation.
Thank you. Ms. Allen.
I guess I will agree with everybody here on the budget. The budget needs to be figured out. However, we don't know what's going to happen with the property tax situation. So I think having a reserve is a reasonable thing until we can figure out how much money is going to be spent for what. I think that the department heads should have things figured out by the beginning of the year to kind of give a better game plan for the money that will be used. And the reserve money that we have now, I mean, I really don't know what they're waiting for to make corrections with buildings that have been falling into disrepair, like the town hall and the police department, the fire department. But I guess that's something I would be looking into because that's a priority. We're way behind the times here in Chester Township.
And the last question, there were several questions about communication, which I'll try to lump together and give you an opportunity to respond to. And I'll start with you, Ms. Mazurko. Where do you see opportunities for trustees to have better communication surrounding what happens at township trustee meetings or when the community is asked to give feedback through community surveys?
So, open meetings. The trustees, I know now they do communicate very well together. I think,
Yeah, just where do you see opportunities for trustees to have better communication about what's happening during meetings with residents? And there were questions about several community surveys being put out. How do you communicate what you're learning and what actions you take?
Okay. Yeah, so the surveys did go out, and I've got the feedback from my friends already and family that You know, they have ideas or they want change or whatever. But I think the communication, they talk amongst each other very well. So I don't think that there's a problem with communication.
Great, thank you. Mr. Petrozello.
Repeat the question, please.
Yes, can you share where you see opportunities for trustees to better communicate what's happening during meetings with residents and when community surveys are distributed, what you're learning from there and what's happening?
Yeah, one of the ways that better communication can be done is have these meetings at evening on Zoom so that anybody can zoom in and watch it, listen to it, record it. The other one is they need to get their minutes on the website immediately. It doesn't take much. With technology today, you can voice that information in, and it can be immediately go out to the internet. So technology is one of the ways they can help bring it forward. And for surveys, Cheslin has done, I don't know how many surveys, quite a few. But surveys, if they're not done correctly, it can be skewed and misrepresented. People can, the one that's up online now, you can answer that multiple times, one person, so we can skew information. So you have to be careful with some of those surveys.
Thank you. Mr. Richter.
So I think we try our best to communicate in every way. We have the quarterly newsletter. Every meeting we write a Chesterland to the Chesterland News with the government update. We have the minutes put on. The minutes are recorded, and you can do a public records request and get a recording of the meeting minutes. The minutes are completed and they're put up online, and we communicate through our website, and we communicate through the Chester Township, the electronic sign. As far as surveys, the surveys are going to provide some input. There may be some skew as to who answers them, how many people answer them, but I believe there is a way to tell if there's more than one person or the same person answers it 10 times.
Thank you. Ms. Allen.
So as far as the trustees go, they do a very good job at the meetings, but only a handful of residents show up regularly, and I'm one of them, so I can speak to that. You should at this point be able to Zoom in, and you did during COVID, so why not now? But as far as the survey goes, there's been surveys in the past, and nothing ever happened with the surveys. So if you're asking for the community's opinion, then why aren't we taking it? So that's something I think we need to address, and people need to become more involved and show up to meetings and speak what they would like to see their community become. And I think the trustees are open-minded to listening to that, but nobody shows up, so that's something you should start to do.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
I think it's very hard for a normal citizen, people working, families, etc., to engage in the trustee meetings. I think streaming, as was mentioned, or Zoom or whatever, putting those online would be good. I think, you look at the agenda, which I've been to several trustees meetings, and the agenda is very basic. There's no backup documentation to it. It's almost impossible. There's an item on there that says water discussion. And then you find out it's about an EPA violation and a $3 million possible project. You don't know that, So we should provide via online, like backup documentation so people can see it. There's, the zoning decisions, why can't that be online? Why do you have to file public records requests to get any sort of information to understand what's happening with the government? It's modern times, it's put online. As far as the survey, I think it's great. The Land Use Planning Committee is a good initiative, but we need to listen and take action. We need to be action-oriented, like Amy said. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, candidates, for the Chester Township trustee race. Residents will be choosing 2 of the 5 that you see here: Ms. Alex, Mr. Davis, Ms. Mazurko, Mr. Petrozello, and Mr. Richter. Thank you so much for your time. We really encourage you to visit our our Vote 411 resources to learn more about the candidates in all of the races, and make sure you have a plan to vote on or before November 4th. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
I was just thinking,